call this special meeting of the Seward City Council to order at 5:30. This is November 14th, 2022. Chief, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Tonight's roll call: Calhoun.
Here.
Wells. I think he's on his way, but DeMoss. Here. Finch.
Here.
Osenga.
Here.
And Mayor McClure.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We're now down to citizen comments on any subject except those items scheduled for public hearing. Those who have signed in will get the first opportunity. Time is limited to 3 minutes, and I will call on others by raised hand if they haven't signed in. 36 minutes total. Madam Clerk, has anyone signed in?
Madam Mayor, no one has signed in.
Okay, is there anyone out there that would wish to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we're at the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda. I'd ask for a motion and a second.
I move to approve the agenda and the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, we could vote.
Voting on tonight's agenda, the consent agenda: Osenga.
Yes.
Calhoun.
Yes.
DeMoss.
Yes.
Finch.
Yes.
Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda are approved, and you have no consent agenda items.
Okay, thank you. We're down to new business. We will, I'd like to have a motion and a second to go into a committee of the whole to discuss the 2023-2024 City of Seward budget.
I move to go into the committee as a whole to discuss the 2023-2024 Seward budget.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we're ready to vote on that.
Voting on the motion to move into committee of the whole: Osenga.
Yes.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Finch.
Yes.
DeMoss.
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That motion is approved. You are moving into committee at 5:33 p.m.
Okay, thank you. We are now deeply into the committee of the whole. And I'm going to turn it over to administration to give us what they've got.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So tonight's meeting is meant to go back and answer some of the questions that have been asked. And at this meeting also, all departments, previously it was departments presenting budgets and we stuck to those departments only because that's what was on the agenda. This time, the entire budget is on the agenda, so you can ask questions of the entire budget. And I'm hoping also for an outcome of this meeting is regarding next week's Monday meeting, the 21st, to see if that's still something that we should have or if we have a quorum. So you had it laid down this evening with some of the questions and answers and then some updated information. We can start with that if you'd like. And MC is on the line and Suli is here as well, and all departments are here. Should be anyway. Here in case there's any questions specific to the department. I guess we'll just go through it. And MC, do you want to go through the document or shall I? It's MC prepared it.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. We can go through it. I think these were just kind of changes that were kind of a consensus that through the first round of meetings with the council, either errors or things left off the budgets or just things that seemed that were miscommunicated and needed to be corrected. We just sort of listed those changes that we've already made that were discussed. I can go through them one by one or hit some of the larger ones. And then answer any questions on them. I'll just start with a few of the bigger ones. There was, in the general fund, there was a $300,000 transfer from the electric fund that had historically been there that we had not included. That has now been included. In the harbor fund, the passenger fee revenue, because that's reported in a separate fund, sub-fund of the harbor fund that doesn't actually get budgeted, because it's special restricted money that comes in that hadn't been shown, but now that's going to be shown in the budget to kind of show that the harbor fund doing a little bit better. Those are the two biggest dollar amount ones on there. That transfer also affects the electric fund. And then some different things, moving some things between 2023 and 2024, a few changes to the motor pool contributions and things like that. But I don't know that I need to go through it line by line. I know if the council would like me to. If not, I can just answer any questions if there's any on any specific items.
Okay, council, would you like to hear it line by line? We got plenty of time tonight. Or just, yes? Any objection to hearing some detail on it? Okay, why don't you take us through it?
Okay, great. So in all departments, as we're updating the budget, getting an updated draft, you'll now have 9/30/2022 numbers for comparison. At first draft, it was June 30th, so that September 30th will just kind of give a better idea where the actuals are going to come in. There was some question of some of the prior year balances. Those have all been reviewed, verified, so all the prior year balances in the budget are accurate now. They were, but we just went through and verified and made sure everything was okay. There were some comments on the notes throughout a lot of the different departments, some of the narratives, so those typos or confusing language, we try to clean those up and make those a little more clear to make the narrative comments clearer. And those are kind of things that just impact everything. So then some of the specific department things, in the council and clerk department, there was some a mix back and forth with the spreadsheet, so there were just some minor changes that the clerk pointed out as we were going through in the meeting where we discussed their budget, so we updated that. Very minimal impact, but a few lines went up, a few lines went down. The taxi permit line revenue was added into that budget, so you'll see that in there now as well. But just little things there. City manager, the budget for Department 1120, the salary based on Resolution 2022-108 was increased to agree with that. That salary was off slightly in the first version of the budget. In the general services, the Alaska Sea Life Center, the pills that they pay over to the city, gets the city on rebates, a portion of that back. That increases 10% every year. Previously, that had been done sort of as a reduction of revenue, so it wasn't really shown in the budget. It was kind of shown as a transfer from the electric fund over because it was done through an electric credit, so it's kind of confusing. The city's going to actually do that now as more of a direct check back to the Sea Life Center. So it's showing as an expense, and that'll be in the general services department now. There's no net impact on the budget there, but it's just it's a cleaner, it's going to look a little more clear as to how that's being processed. A few things in the police department budget. Their motor pool rent has been limited down to zero just because of some delays, but upon further discussion, we've added $10,000 in 2023 and $15,000 in 2024 for them, as they do still have several vehicles out there. The breaching tools that were discussed by the chief have been added now, as well as the Spectrum Analyzer for about $30,000 into 2024 capital equipment. And then some reduction, actually, the CAD system that has been discussed that was sitting in contracted services has actually been removed. There's still some costs, I believe, sitting out in the CIP plan for that, but until there's more official costs known, we would just then amend the budget for that if necessary moving forward once official costs and kind of a timeline for the CAD system is known. In the fire department, the hydrant rental cost had been removed, as well as the revenue in the water fund for that. I know there's some discussion that that's not really allowed for the water fund to pay for those, so that's been added back in. Municipal buildings had sort of an extra salary in there due to some confusion, so that salary amount has actually been adjusted down slightly and more accurate to that position. That's going to be moved over to that municipal building fund from the library. The Parks and Recs maintenance expenses have been increased, and the motor pool rent has been decreased down to $15,000 from the $92,000, because that actually included the capital cost to purchase the equipment. The initial capital cost is going to be paid out of the motor pool fund, and then the $15,000 annually is just to pay for that depreciation and then have the funds there to replace it, which is how that fund is intended to be used. So that was just more cost than necessary in that department. The campground, I think that's in there. I'm sorry, I think that's not incorrect. But the $130,000 capital purchase for the water heater has been moved into 2023. It was split up between 2023 and 2024. I think that's actually, I don't think that's the right fund. I'm sorry, that's a mistake on there, but the cost is correct. And then in the library, there was an extra employee in there as well. The maintenance person has actually been moved over to the municipal buildings department, so that those salaries in that department have been corrected. Moving down into some of the enterprise funds, the harbor fund, there's some questions on the depreciation and how they were allocated by departments. So we've gone back and taken a look at that and readjusted, to be more consistent with how that's done in prior years and where the actual assets are allocated. The same for the SMIC fund. The overall depreciation is still about the same, but the allocations have changed to be more consistent. And then also in the harbor fund, as I mentioned, the passenger transit fee, or the passenger fee is now being shown as a revenue in the harbor fund, as that covers the debt service payments in the harbor fund. So that's being shown now in that fund directly. In the electric fund, the $300,000 transfer for the operating permit has been reinstated. And then in the motor pool fund, there's some minor changes to contributions in some of the other departments. And the mobile standby generator, which is actually sitting in regular CIP, has now been moved to the motor pool fund capital plan for 2024 for an additional $150,000 to be purchased out of there, as it is mobile and we believe it qualifies for the motor pool fund to be purchased out of that.
Thank you.
What are some of the changes that came through the first round of meetings? I know there's some questions out there as well that we can go over, but if there's any specific information on any of those line items, we can discuss that now.
Okay, any questions that you can think of? That was really, I think you answered all the questions I had just by stating what was there in front of me, so I didn't know. Madam City Manager, you had some.
I have some more information regarding personnel that I'd like to add and to provide, and then it came up through some citizen comments and then just going back and taking a look at everything. I wanted to speak to the personnel comparisons because we have heard that there's an increase in the amount. So I went back to the actual budgeted amounts for 2019. There's, a comparison to 2019. And rather than the actuals, because the actuals for personnel were reduced by, positions that weren't filled or filled for part of year. There are 27 positions that were either filled only part of the year or not filled at all in 2019. So the budgeted would have included those, at least most of them, and then that's why it was reduced at actual. So the budgeted amount for overall for personnel is $11,799,000. For 23, it is $13,770,000, and it's a 17% increase over the 2019 numbers. And a couple of factors to include think about in that is that in 2020 there was a wage increase, which increased the wages, and also there previously not all the PERS costs, the 22% were applied directly to salaries. They were actually to debt service, so that would have decreased that amount by 14% in 2019. So there'd be a 14% increase just on salaries we started in 22, so that would attribute to that cost as well. And also the healthcare has gone up. It's 8% for 23, but it has gone up over the years as well, and that's included in the personnel costs. So I did want to comment on that. And if you to do a comparison of today 2022 dollars compared to 2019 dollars, just as a comparison, the 7.9, I'm just going to round up, 7.9 million is in 22 was worth 8.6 as compared to, and also in the enterprise fund, 3.8 and would be 4.1. So just some comparisons of the personnel. We have not increased 40%. It's 17 and 23 and 20 and 24 for budget purposes. And that goes back to the budgeted numbers, not to actuals, comparing apples to apples.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember.
On that subject, so the numbers that you're giving us for 2023, we're comparing the same thing, so it's all positions in case they get filled? Is that what we're looking at then, the budgeted
Yeah.
numbers? Okay.
Following up to that, that's what you did last year, right?
Yes, we funded all positions last year, and this year, the same is true except for, did not fund one police position, one police officer position, and then the finance director position as well. And that's not to say if we get a finance director, we can fund it, so, but those are the two unfunded positions. And as we discussed previously, some of the positions were left unfunded in the past. I have not been able to find all the details of that, but just going by the numbers, you can tell they were unfunded.
Further question? Councilmember Calhoun?
Not on this particular stuff. Are we sticking to the changes things, or where are we?
I think we can ask about anything
Questions in
tonight, right?
general?
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of questions. Just for clarification for folks, the standby time that, is it called standby time? That we budget in the electric department, is that actually standby time? Is that the term?
Correct.
Okay, and we have that in the harbor also.
Correct.
Is that the same rate? It's like in the electric department, standby time is paid, what is it? Is it double regular time or?
It's double time.
Okay,
It's 1 hour weekdays, 2 hours on weekends and holidays.
okay. And is that the same rate that we do in the harbor? Is it double?
Harbor is 2 hours standby time, but it's regular pay, regular hourly pay.
Okay, so it's not a higher amount for those hours
Correct.
as it is with the electric department? Okay.
Madam Mayor, there is a difference because of an IBEW
I
contract.
understand. Yes.
Yes.
It was a question thrown at me. I just wanted to get some clarification on that, so that was, okay.
Thank you.
And then, if I have,
Oh, yeah.
Madam Mayor, one more. And this is just something I guess maybe think about. We had or are projecting about a $250,000 loss in investment income. Is that correct?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'm going to defer to MC and Sully on that question. That is my understanding from those numbers there, but the
Okay.
reason for it, I'm going to defer to.
Yeah. MC, do you want to field that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
Oh. Councilmember Calhoun, do you want to?
Just talking about a projected $250,000 loss in investment income. Is that correct?
For 2022?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so, I think that's probably going to improve now a little bit when we get the September 30th numbers dropped in there. That'll look a little better, potentially. But that's your unrealized loss on investments, I mean, with the market. So it's not investment income, it's not interest being paid, it's the value of your long-term investments. And yes, I mean, it's looking like you will actually probably have a net decrease, as most places will in 2022 in the value of your investments. And then for the budgets, we've essentially budgeted those at zero, not really knowing what 2023, 2024 markets are going to look like. You don't want to get too aggressive with those numbers, but hopefully we kind of hit bottom now and the markets can stabilize a little bit and get some of that return back next year.
Okay.
And just
Go
a
ahead.
follow-up, is that something that, do we internally look at that, where our investments are?
Yes,
And review that over
Yes, sir.
periods of time to see if we need to shift things?
yes. Occasionally, it depends on the life of the long-term.
Madam Mayor, So that MC can hear, can they come to the microphone?
Yeah,
So that
I
way,
think, yeah, could you come up? I didn't think of that. It's like the disembodied
Yeah.
phone person. I never
Yeah.
think of how that might work. And should we say for the record
Yeah, please do.
that Councilmember Wells just joined us?
It depends on the life of the maturity of the bond or the loan investment. So it depends of the liability of the life of the investment. Maybe MC, you can say something more?
Yeah, I mean, so the city is somewhat limited on what they can invest in, but you guys have a really well laddered out investment portfolio. It's primarily U.S. Treasury securities and CDs. You know, the CDs aren't really subject to market value, so they're not being impacted by that. But treasuries are by the market value impact. With interest rates going up, some of your treasuries are seeing their values go down with the lower interest rates, so that's where you're getting hit with the loss a little bit. But you have it really well staggered out with maturities every month or 2 months that then get reinvested out. And you're tiered out to about 2026 right now with really investments maturing pretty regularly. So we could provide that list. We actually just met with the investment manager last week to kind of look at planning over the next couple months. So it is something that's regularly reviewed. You guys are actually in really good shape to absorb some of these changes. It's just something that happens cyclically, and there's not really much you can do about it.
Thank you.
Great.
Other questions?
Just one other comment, sorry. The laydown that we have, the fund balance overview, this is updated through September, the end of September, these numbers on the roll-ups here. Is that correct?
MC, that is correct, right?
It should be.
Yes, that should be
Yes, it
correct.
is.
On the laydown? Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions, comments? You guys have done a very thorough job. I mean, the fact that we're not like screaming with questions is probably a good sign, right? Administration, do you have anything else to add?
I think, continued questions by council, so, and as I said, determination by council if we'll have the November 21st meeting or move that date. But the plan is for the November 28th meeting is to bring, it'll be in the packet, but to have the updated budget in the packet along with the resolution, so it'll be the first public hearing. And then you can start amending. You can direct today, once we come out of committee of the whole. But, and then you can start amending, and we'll have budget meetings as needed. I think that right now that all that we have scheduled is the 21st, the 28th, and then that's it. Then the final public hearing on the 12th.
So the meeting on the 21st, what was the intention of that?
More, if you had more questions.
Kind of like this,
yes.
right? And I don't see a whole lot of public out there wanting to speak at this time either. We could discuss that now, whether to have that meeting on Monday the 21st. It would be a special meeting. There's no regular meeting that night, but it has been scheduled. So what you guys think?
I won't be here.
Well, then that's one thing to think right there, Councilmember DeMoss. Maybe I should ask it the other way. Do you think we really need another meeting before the public hearing on the 28th? Is there, yes, we can do it. I just love meetings, so I don't mind, but
I wouldn't mind having another meeting, especially with some of the new people coming on. We're going to seat somebody tonight. It might be a good thing for that person to have a couple of meetings on the budget. My only request, if we were going to do that, and I'm not even sure we can do it at this point, would be to change it to Tuesday, the 22nd,
Oh,
because I won't be here on the 21st.
oh my goodness. Okay, well, it's been scheduled and you won't be here on the 22nd. Well,
The 21st.
I mean, on the 21st. I never go anywhere. Okay, well, in my mind, yes.
Madam
Oh,
Mayor?
I'm sorry, yes.
And also, we'd be happy to meet with new members, come to the office and go through them, the budget line by line and the whole
That might
things
be
to get
the
everybody up to
thing.
speed. Or any existing council members who want to sit through that. But be happy to have those meetings separate as well,
Okay.
if that helps anything at all.
Councilmember Wells, go ahead.
Yes, Senator.
Well, you go.
Well, I think that with the amount of time that we have, those of us that are here spent with this, that it would probably be more beneficial for new council members or members that have direct questions to spend one-on-one time.
I kind of, well, go ahead, Councilmember
I was
Moss.
gonna actually say that as well. I feel like we've spent quite a bit of time on it and administration has been really available for questions, and I personally don't have anything more to, and we've met another hour too.
Yeah.
But, I don't wanna waste anyone's time and I won't be here on the 22nd either, but I could
Okay.
not be here if that's what everybody else wants to do.
Would that be agreeable to you guys? I mean, they are very accessible, the administration, as far as,
As far as having another meeting, or?
No,
Well,
as far as just meeting with them one-on-one.
yeah, one-on-one, or with your own questions. And then, I mean, you being one of the new members, Councilmember Finch, and then whoever we choose tonight, maybe the two of you could get together for an overview too with administration. I mean, it just sounds kind of like the 21st isn't going to work out because of, the availability. Council, or Vice Mayor was saying, excuse me.
I was just going to say that this is only for the 21st, right? We're still
Yeah.
going to have a meeting on the 28th.
Oh, yes,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
a
We'll have
regular
budget
meeting on
meeting
that.
on
It's
28th.
a
Okay, I just wanted to
regular
clarify
meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it'll be part of the regular meeting,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
As opposed to a special meeting.
Oh, okay.
The
Thank you.
budget
And-
is part of the regular
Madam
meeting.
Mayor.
Yes.
And yes, it is on the budget resolutions on the regular meeting. If council would like a special meeting on the 20th, we could do that as well, say at 5:30, but I'll leave that up to you.
Madam City Manager, do we don't have anything scheduled at 5:30 on the 20th? How can that be?
I know, it's pretty
We
amazing.
actually, on the calendar, we have a special meeting for the budget at 5:30 on the
okay.
28th.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Never mind, I was ahead of that one, didn't even know.
Well, what if this, then, we keep that 5:30 meeting, special meeting on the 28th to iron out any of the special things we want to talk about? And you're frowning. It is on the calendar, right? I thought I had it.
And it could still be advertised even if it wasn't on the
Yeah.
calendar, so.
Okay. Does that sound like a good compromise then for those that wanted to keep the 21st, even if they're not going to be here, except they wanted a different day? Agreed? Okay.
Sure.
Do we have to have a motion to remove the special meeting on the 21st?
The city manager actually called for the meeting on the 21st, so she can withdraw it if she wishes.
Okay.
And you can't make a motion when you're inside.
I know, but when we come out. So it sounds like a consensus that that would be okay, whatever it
Okay.
takes to get you to do that.
Sure.
Okay?
I'll do that.
We could vote. And you had something else?
I really wanted to speak to Sea Life Center and the PILT, and part of the reason is probably more for the public than really anything, and just to have it out there, is that as stated by MC, the PILT credit back has been done on electric, and that became really confusing, at least to me, really confusing because, remember, they had a special contract that was done away with when, it was my understanding last year in the budget process, was that those things were tied together. So the PILT, when the special contract went away, the PILT would go away as well. Well, come to find out, that is not at all the case. The special electric contract went away, PILT remained. And they've received PILT, even though that we were under question about that. So they've received PILT throughout, but it is much cleaner for us to do, a check to them rather than on the electric. for research purposes and for a lot of reasons. And another thing to remember, I can't remember off the top of my head, I think it's 80% is in 2023 and then the 90% to them in 2024, and then it'll be the 100% in 2025. And so then we're done with that arrangement. I'm sure we'll be revisiting it by 2025, but that is the plan. And I just want to put that out there because there's been a lot of confusion both with us and then the Sea Life Center, but we've worked through it, and so this is where we are.
Questions about that? Sounds good. Well, we've got a lot of time here. Yes, yeah. This is our Parks and Rec Director.
Maggie, Parks and Rec. Yeah, I saw everyone kind of look up and furrow their brows at the $130,000 under the hot water heater purchase. I do believe, at first I thought this was just an error, and it was because we quoted around $13,000 for a new unit. But I believe we've decided this was paying for our picnic tables and fire rings that were purchased in 2022. So those will actually get paid for. So that accounts for about 86, so plus the 13 for the unit brings us to about 100. And then 30, we do have some additional picnic tables we'd like to purchase and or any additional costs that come out of the water heater. That's what that is. So any questions on that one?
Yeah. You did put in to purchase more fire rings and picnic tables, and there was money. Is that part of this, or do you want more beyond what that was?
That's part of it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
I also was like,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
And I guess I should ask, we have all these department chairs here. Yeah, see, I knew somebody would come up and entertain us for a while.
I was going to say, if you're going to do a one-on-one with the city manager on the budget, if you're going to talk about a certain department, please request us so we can get our stuff up there. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to coordinate it with the departments, definitely.
Okay. Anybody else have anything that they want to bring forward? We have pizza. Okay, are you guys ready to come out of our, we'll still look the same when this happens. It's just really odd, but we're going to get ready to come out of the special meeting now, if you're all ready to do that, and it does not require a motion to come out. I'm getting this. You ready? Okay, so we're coming out of the special meeting now, and we're back into a regular meeting.
Committee of the whole.
Committee is on.
And then the special.
I'm sorry?
You're coming out of the committee of the whole.
We're coming out of the committee of the whole, yes, which was the special thing of the thing. Okay. At this point, I'm allowed, I think, to make a statement when we come out, and so I'd like to just reiterate, and maybe we need to figure out how to do this, but that we are going to cancel the special meeting for November 21st at 5:30. And there is already scheduled a special meeting at 5:30 on the 28th before our regular meeting that we will keep on, and that was our decision. Correct? Okay, and we don't need to vote on that, but what we're doing is directing the city manager to withdraw that November 21st special meeting.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, so that was that, and now, guess what? We're to citizen comments. You can pretend to be citizens and comment if you would like, all of you out there. Okay. I see no citizens wanting to comment. So that brings us to council and administration comments and responses to citizens' comments. Administration, you may begin.
Thank you. I was just showing Assistant City Manager. It's like, oh, I did request a special meeting on the 28th at 5:30. So that has already been processed, and of course I'll withdraw. Well, since I have a little time before the next meeting, I'll go ahead and do it now. But thank you. Thank you, and if you have more questions, please let me know, let us know, and we'll get it taken care of. And we'll reach out to the newest council members to schedule a meeting where they can come in and coordinate with department heads too.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, let me start with Councilmember Finch. Do you have comments?
Well, It's interesting looking at the numbers and everybody's wanting increases. That's got me looking at them going,
Okay.
so. But I appreciate everybody, the hard work they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wells.
No comment right now.
Councilmember Calhoun.
Just a continuing process. I'm sure that the budget's not quite done yet. There'll be some changes coming, I can only imagine. But I appreciate the roll-up for all of the departments that we got with the new numbers, updated numbers. It'll be nice to see the updated numbers in the actual budget document. Will at least give us a little better idea of where we're headed and make some of our decisions a little bit easier with better information like that. So thanks for doing that, and I will leave it there for now.
Okay. Councilmember Demas.
Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work and for being here. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor Osenga.
Thank you, everybody, for all you, again, agreeing with everybody that said this already. Thank you for all your guys' hard work, administration. And I do appreciate, I will agree with Councilmember Compton, I like the new numbers and the updated numbers and information. That's good. Just be safe out there.
Okay, and I agree with all of that. I really appreciate the department chairs coming and being here, and it's nice to see your shining faces, and just, you know, it's a good thing. I always, at this point, start saying, and I will continue to say, that budgets are fluid documents, so when changes are made, other changes may be made later, and what we come up with ultimately, you know, isn't set in concrete. And so we appreciate the public comments. They weren't here tonight, but that's okay, they've been here. And we do have a regular meeting starting at 7 o'clock, so if the watching public and listening public is not aware of that, we'll reconvene at 7 o'clock. And with that, I will adjourn this special city council meeting at 6:07.